Episode 76. He might be the king in his own country, but he bet in this country, people knew the Lane family more than his own. Using his family's name to threaten anyone here wouldn't have the same effect as it would in his own country. The security guard quickly asked the servant in the house to relay the message to Lan Yanjin. Of course, that man wasn't asleep. So he definitely knew that Nan Shen was here to look for Tan Hua. But would he let Nan Shen meet Tan Hua? Never. Master, there is someone wanting to meet you outside the house. He said that his name is Nan Shen. Lan Yanjin's personal servant politely informed Lan Yanjin, who was checking a few documents on his work table. Nan Shen? Lan Yanjin raised his head as he looked at the servant with a smile on his face. He didn't expect the man to come all the way to his house. How could Nan Shen know Tan Hua was with him anyway? Yes, master. This man insists on meeting you. The personal servant adjusted his eyeglasses as he spoke again. His white hair fluttered under the air conditioner in the room. His wise-looking blue eyes shone in the slightly dark room. Tell him I'm already sleeping. Just have him come again tomorrow. Lan Yanjin waved his hand to his personal servant after pausing for a moment. How could he want to meet Nan Shen now? That man must want to meet Tan Hua. He didn't know what the problem between those two was, but he was sure there was a misunderstanding between them. It was obvious from how Tan Hua looked so dispirited. Yes, master. The servant bowed politely again before walking out of the room. His footsteps echoed along the corridor as he relayed the message to the security. Excuse me, but the servant said that the owner of the house is already asleep, so this guest can come again tomorrow. The security guard quickly relayed the servant's message to Nan Shen. He wanted to return to his post and hoped the visitor would leave soon. From the looks of this visitor, he didn't seem like a local rich man, perhaps someone from abroad. Anyway, it's not his business if this man couldn't meet young Master Lan. Not just anyone could meet that important figure, especially not at this hour. This visitor must be insistent. Come back again tomorrow, huh? Nan Shen tightened his grip on the steering wheel. He was 100% sure that Lan Yanjin was still awake. As a businessman like him, he knew that sometimes they wouldn't sleep until 3 a.m. That man purposely chased him off. That's why, please come back later. The security flashed a smile. Though he really wanted to ask Nan Shen to leave. He had already told him that the owner of the house didn't want to meet him, right? Why hadn't he left yet? Is it all right if I don't enter the area but just park outside? Nan Shen didn't leave immediately and instead asked something that made the security guard almost choke. Technically, it's all right, but the security hesitated. It wasn't against the law to park outside as long as the man didn't forcibly enter the private area, but what was he planning to do? Park outside? For what? Good, then I'll wait outside. Nan Shen smiled with his usual polite yet distant smile. Without waiting for the security's response, Nan Shen drove away and stopped just before the gate leading to the private area of the estate. What is this man planning to do? The security guard was bewildered. It was the first time he'd seen someone so determined to actually wait outside, instead of just returning the next day. Nan Shen, indeed, was very determined. He called his men to bring him a blanket, pillow, food, water, and a jacket since he planned to sleep in the car until the sun rose. He was sure that Lan Yanjin wouldn't let him meet Tan Hua, even if he returned in the morning. The man would just take Tan Hua away, and Nan Shen would have to chase after them again. The cycle would repeat, and in the end, he wouldn't get the chance to speak with Tan Hua at all. If that's the case, he would wait here until Lan Yanjin and Tan Hua decided to go outside. Tan Hua had only taken 3 days off from work, so she couldn't stay in this country for long. Before she went back home, he had to meet her. Once she returned home, it would be harder to see her. She could avoid him with many excuses. Who knew what Lan Yanjin might do in the meantime? He could use this situation to trick Tan Hua or something. No, this can't happen. Lan Yanjin wanted him to come back tomorrow. He would wait until then. He wouldn't leave until he could meet Tan Hua. Nan Shen had all the things he needed to sleep in the car for the night. And so, he stayed inside the car, watching the house in case Lan Yanjin decided to take Tan Hua away again suddenly. He was willing to wait. Even though it might seem foolish or stubborn, he didn't care. He had to clear up the misunderstanding now, before it dragged on too long. Who knew what Tan Hua might think if it continued? Tan Hua. She blocked his phone number and refused to read his messages. But that's fine. He would explain everything to her directly. For that, he was willing to wait for her, no matter how long he had to stay in the car. Good morning, Tan Hua yawned as she greeted Lan Yanjin at the dining table. They were having breakfast early in the morning because she wanted to go back to her country earlier than planned. Good morning, did you sleep well? Lan Yanjin put down the newspaper in his hand and smiled at Tan Hua. He had only slept for 4 hours last night, and his servant had mentioned that Nan Shen was still waiting outside. That determined man. Lan Yanjing was not going to let him meet Tan Hua. Tan Hua bit the sausages on her plate and nodded reluctantly. In truth, she hadn't slept well because of the scene she had witnessed. Mai Shu had betrayed her and had feelings for Nan Shen right in front of her eyes. How could she not be affected by this? She was only human. Tan Hua looked at her phone and sighed again. Her phone had run out of battery last night, so she couldn't check any messages. But now she could. So why was she hesitating to do it? What if there was a message from Nan Shen? Or, if there was, what could it be? Had he told her that he was now seeing Mai Shu? Tan Hua shook her head, trying to calm herself. She shouldn't make assumptions without seeing the actual message. There might be a chance that Nan Shen hadn't texted her at all. Or maybe he had texted her to explain something about Mai Shu. Right. She couldn't run away from this, or the situation would drag on like in most romantic dramas she had seen. That would be frustrating. Tan Hua was about to grab her phone from the table, still chewing her food, when suddenly Lan Yanjin walked over to her and grabbed the phone faster than she could. What are you doing? Tan Hua raised her eyebrows as she saw Lan Yanjin, who had moved from across the table to sit beside her and taken her phone. What was going on with this man? She was grateful to be staying in Lan Yanjin's house, but she couldn't quite figure out what was on his mind. No phone while eating. Lan Yanjin winked as he handed Tan Hua's phone to his personal servant. The family tradition was not to use phones at the dining table, and even though Tan Hua was a guest, he believed it was for the best. But Tan Hua noticed that Lan Yanjin hadn't brought his phone to the dining table either, but she wasn't part of the Lan family. She needed her phone to check if Nan Shen had messaged her. You can have your phone back after breakfast. Now, eat first. Be good, okay? Lan Yanjin didn't budge, even after seeing Tan Hua's pleading eyes. He patted Tan Hua's head gently before returning to his seat to continue eating his breakfast. Fine. Tan Hua could only grumble as Lan Yanjin ignored her. The phone was hers, but she was in Lan Yanjin's house. If it was the rule in his house not to use the phone at the dining table, she had no choice but to follow. Little did Tan Hua know that, although the rule existed, it didn't apply to the guest. Lan Yanjin had only snatched her phone so she wouldn't see any messages from Nan Shen. She wouldn't be able to call him or anything. This way, he could keep them apart for a little longer. Nan Shen, you're not back at the hotel yet? Where are you? Ren Yuan's voice rang through the car, almost making Nan Shen go deaf as he answered the call. He had just finished a simple breakfast with a hot dog when Ren Yuan called, only to scold him. Tan Hua is in Lan Yanjin's house. That guy wouldn't let me meet her, so I waited outside his house all night. Nan Shen yawned while rubbing his eyes, his voice faint. He hadn't had a good sleep, but it wasn't the worst. He was used to staying up late, but sleeping in the car had made his whole body ache. Are you crazy? Waiting all night just to meet Tan Hua? Can't you wait until she's back in our country? Ren Yuan gripped his fork tightly as he scolded him. He was having breakfast alone, without Mai Shu. He didn't want to be around her after the way she had changed. But she'll just avoid me when we're back in our country. I can only meet her now while she can't run away. Nan Shen scratched his cheek, feeling a bit guilty that Ren Yuan was so upset. It was rare for Ren Yuan to scold him, so he must have been really worried. You lunatic. Never mind. It's up to you. But remember, we're going back to our country in the afternoon. If you don't meet her before then, just forget it. Ren Yuan sighed and hung up the phone, still worried for his friend. Nan Shen was his rival, but could also be called his childhood friend. They had been friends for a long time. Maybe not since they were children, but long enough to make him worry for this man. How could Nan Shen do something reckless like sleeping in the car the whole night just for a girl? Lan Yanjin had never seen Nan Shen act like this. That man. He must have lost his mind. Ren Yuan didn't realize that he himself would do the same for Mai Shu if something happened between them, just like with Nan Shen. A pity Mai Shu was no longer here. The person inside her body wasn't the real her anymore. I finished my breakfast. Now give me my phone. Tan Hua put down her eating utensils and looked at Lan Yanjin, staring directly into his eyes. She just wanted to see if Nan Shen had texted her. She didn't know what had happened between Nan Shen and Mai Shu last night. But if Nan Shen had told her the truth, maybe she wouldn't feel so heartbroken again. Not only that, the precious ring that Nan Shen had given her was left behind when she had thrown it at him. Now she regretted it. What if the ring was lost? She would lose the one thing that connected her to the old Nan Shen. You haven't taken a bath and packed your things. Remember, we're leaving in 30 minutes. Having your phone now will only distract you. Lan Yanjin put down his own eating utensils and replied smoothly. What he said was actually true, but to Tanhua, it felt like Lan Yanjin was hiding something from her. Why was he so eager to keep her phone? I'll just check my messages. It won't take long. Tanhua tightened her fist as she glared at Lan Yanjin. She knew this man had feelings for her, but she didn't like it when he forced her to do things. I bet you'll be heartbroken again, like last night. Crying and unable to sleep after checking your messages, so no. You take a bath, unpack, and prepare to go to the airport. Only then can you check your messages. That way, you won't have time to cry. Lan Yanjin stood up and walked away from his seat, approaching Tanhua. When Tanhua heard what Lan Yanjin said, she couldn't refute him. She had cried and couldn't sleep last night. It was true. They were here, not at the hotel, because of her as well. But she wouldn't cry just because she checked her incoming messages. Well, she couldn't say that with complete certainty. Tanhua pursed her lips and remained silent. She knew that what he said was kind of true, even though part of it must have been Lan Yanjin's trick to keep something from her. See? You can't say anything. Listen, I brought you here to meet your family, okay? I don't want this trip to end up being a heartbroken one, so listen to me. You can check your messages once we're on the plane. Lan Yanjin took a lock of Tanhua's hair and gently kissed it, coaching her with his reasonable reasoning. Tanhua hesitated for a moment, hearing Lan Yanjin's words. She wanted to check her messages, to stop feeling bad on her own without knowing the truth. But, well, she could check it later on the plane. Maybe Nan Shen had texted her, or maybe he hadn't texted her at all. After all, they weren't in any kind of relationship except business partners. Fine, but after that, promise me you'll return my phone. If, after all of this, you still hold back my phone. Just see. Tanhua stood up and walked away from the dining room, heading to the room Lan Yanjin had prepared for her. She would take a bath first, pack her things, and then board the plane. Only then would she check her incoming messages. While Tanhua was taking a bath, Lan Yanjin also prepared to leave the country. He had received a report from his servant that Nan Shen was still waiting outside, which made him subconsciously frown. He's still there? So stubborn. Lan Yanjin gritted his teeth when he heard the report. He had to do something to ensure that when they departed, they wouldn't have to meet Nan Shen. He couldn't let Tanhua know that the man had been waiting for her since last night. 30 minutes later. I'm ready. So, let's go now? Tanhua put down her suitcase in the living room and asked Lan Yanjin. She wanted to get to the airport quickly so she could get her phone back. Somehow, she felt this nagging urge to open her phone and check her messages. Yes. Let's go. We'll be using the back door. Lan Yanjin guided Tanhua to exit the house through the back door. A car was already waiting there, and Lan Yanjin made sure to use this gate rather than the main one. He purposely chose the back gate, far from the one where Nan Shen was waiting. He would never let those two meet. Where are they? Nan Shen looked at his wristwatch, his brow furrowed. He had been waiting for a long time, but still hadn't seen them come out of the house. Could it be they weren't leaving today? But Tanhua was supposed to fly back today, around morning until the afternoon. So they must come out soon. But it was almost 11 a.m., and they weren't out yet. Don't tell him. Damn it, Lan Yanjin! Nan Shen hit the steering wheel, gritting his teeth in frustration. He realized that Lan Yanjin had played him again. There must be another gate or a back door. Lan Yanjin must have already left with Tanhua using that other gate. No wonder he hadn't seen him leave the house or the area. That man used the back door. Nan Shen tightened his grip on the steering wheel. He had a feeling Tanhua was already at the airport. What could he do? His plane departs later. Should he buy another ticket and leave earlier? But he couldn't just leave Ren Yuan and Mi Shu behind, right? Let's call Ren Yuan first. Ren Yuan, Lan Yanjin already took Tanhua to the airport using the back door. I couldn't meet her. Nan Shen quickly told Ren Yuan what had happened. Now Tanhua would be leaving soon. What was the point of wanting to meet her again? Once they were back in their country, Tanhua might purposely avoid him. Should he chase after her later? What do you want to do then? Ren Yuan squinted his eyes as he stood up from his seat. He had been accompanying Mishu to go shopping at a mall, but he didn't want Mishu to know he was talking to Nan Shen. The girl had been giving off signs that she wanted to meet Nan Shen. It would be troublesome if she knew what Nan Shen was doing now. This Mishu, he was sure she wasn't the same Mishu who loved him. I want to go back to our country earlier. What do you think? Do you want to go back early too? Or do you want to stay with Mishu for a bit longer? Nan Shen didn't have any business left in London, so he had no reason to stay. He just wanted to meet Tanhua face to face and clear all the misunderstandings. But how could he if things were like this? All right, we can book another ticket and depart earlier. Mishu can follow us. Renyon nodded and ended the call before telling Mishu that they would be leaving earlier than planned. What? Why? I still want to enjoy London. Mishu frowned in displeasure when she heard Ren Yuan's words. She hadn't been able to meet Nan Shen again since he wasn't anywhere to be found. And now she couldn't enjoy London a bit longer? She had never been to London before. Her family was just an average family, barely able to travel abroad. Now, she was in the body of a rich and pretty girl. She had to make the most of it. Nan Shen has some business back in our country. So come on, let's go back to the hotel to pack. Ren Yuan hid his expression behind a poker face, but inside, he felt a deep frustration. This girl wasn't worried about Tanhua at all, only wanting to enjoy London by herself. How could this be the same Mishu he once knew? Nan Shen? Mishu paused when she heard his name, then reluctantly agreed to go back. If Nan Shen wanted to go back early, she could follow him. On the plane, Tanhua sat quietly, opening her phone. Lan Yanjin had kept his promise and given her the phone. Now she could check her messages. Tanhua glanced at Lan Yanjin, who had fallen asleep just a few minutes after the plane took off. Since Lan Yanjin didn't want her to check her phone, she decided to do it while he was sleeping. Tanhua unlocked her phone and saw many missed calls from Nan Shen and Ren Yuan. She also saw a long message from Nan Shen, but strangely, Mishu hadn't called or texted her. So it was true that Mishu was acting strange. Not only had she declared that she wanted to be with Nan Shen, but she had also become cold towards Tanhua. What had happened to Mishu? Why had she suddenly changed her heart? Tanhua gripped her phone tightly as she slowly opened Nan Shen's message. She was relieved that Nan Shen had texted her, but what if it was bad news? Like he was telling her he was now dating Mishu? No. Don't jump to conclusions. Let's read it first. Tanhua carefully read the message Nan Shen had sent. He explained everything that happened the night before, from how Mishu was in the room to how she suddenly kissed him. In the end, he told her that he had regained his memories. Is this for real? Tanhua almost couldn't hold back her tears. Nan Shen had regained his memories. Nan Shen already remembered her. Tanhua silently wiped her tears as she gripped her phone tightly. Nan Shen had already given her an explanation about the situation with Mishu, so she wouldn't misunderstand them anymore. Now that Nan Shen had recovered his memories, he would remember her too, right? She decided to wait until Nan Shen returned and then talk with him again. Several hours later. Are you all right alone? Lan Yanjin dropped Tanhua right in front of her house after they arrived back in their country. It was already evening, and he wasn't sure if Shen Ling was inside. He couldn't leave Tanhua alone, could he? I think Shen Ling is inside, so don't worry. Tanhua shook her head before thanking Lan Yanjin for dropping her off. She was grateful for all the help he had given her, but still, she wanted to create some distance between them. After all, she knew how Lan Yanjin felt toward her, and if she didn't set clear boundaries, she might unintentionally mislead him. Of course, she didn't want that to happen. All right, if you insist. Take care. I'll go now. Lan Yanjin patted Tanhua's shoulder before getting into his car and driving away, disappearing into the street along with the other cars. Tanhua sighed, relieved to see Lan Yanjin leave. Ever since she had learned how he felt about her, she had felt a little awkward around him. Thank goodness he had finally left. The golden rays of the sun shone upon her face as she quickly entered the house. The sky turned golden orange, making Tanhua's cheek look a little red when she opened the door to her house. Just as Tanhua was about to open the door and enter, it was suddenly swung open from the other side, almost knocking into her nose. Tanhua. A man stepped out of the house, looking very worried. His blonde hair turned slightly orange under the golden sunlight. This person was none other than Shen Ling. The man looked at Tanhua with concerned eyes. His breath was quick, and it was clear he had rushed to open the door. It was still a mystery how he knew Tanhua was back. Shen Ling? Tanhua was shocked to see Shen Ling come out in such a hurry. His hair was a mess and his clothes, well, they were wrinkled all over. Did Shen Ling just finish his job or something? Good timing. I've been wanting to contact you for so long, but my job kept getting in the way. Shen Ling grabbed Tanhua's wrist and gently pulled her into the living room. He let her put down her luggage on the floor before they both sat on the sofa. So, what is it you wanted to tell me? Tanhua tilted her head, noticing Shen Ling's serious expression. His eyebrows were furrowed and his eyes looked troubled. It was so unusual for the normally cheerful Shen Ling to act like this. I haven't told you that my friend, the one who's responsible for the changes in your world, switched Mi Shu's soul with someone else's from your world. My Shu is no longer my Shu, Shenling said, not wasting any time and getting straight to the point. He had meant to tell Tanhua this as soon as Mi Shu's soul had been switched, but his job had kept him busy, preventing him from reaching out to her in the past days. Shenling had wanted to call her to explain this, but he couldn't. So he decided to tell her in person, because this was very important. He couldn't just send a message. Who? What? What are you saying? My Shu's soul was switched with someone else's? Tanhua's eyes widened, her jaw dropping in disbelief. What? Mi Shu's soul had been exchanged with another person's? So the strange Mi Shu she had met before, it wasn't her best friend at all. Yes. I couldn't do anything to stop it, but that person promised me he would switch Mi Shu's soul back if the girl he brought into this world caused any problems. Shenling let out a deep sigh, looking at Tanhua's face. She looked as calm as ever, but he wondered what had happened when she was in London. Had that other person caused trouble or created some drama? All right, I'll keep an eye on this Mi Shu. But what about the real Mi Shu in my world? Is she all right? Tanhua gripped the hem of her dress, feeling worried for her best friend. Could she adapt well there? Mi Shu was a strong woman, so her world was a good place for her to do whatever she wanted. But without Tanhua, Ren Yuan, and Nan Shen, she's doing fine from what I know. But I've just received information about the people behind Tanhua's father's bankruptcy. Shenling glanced at Tanhua and couldn't help but sigh again. This girl. Could she handle the truth? Eh? Do you finally get information on that? So sudden. Tanhua's eyes widened. She didn't expect Shenling to suddenly have the information she had been looking for. It had been 3 months already, and she thought Shenling wouldn't be able to find out who was responsible for Tanhua's father's bankruptcy. But then Shenling suddenly told her he already got the information. As expected of a god, even though his power had decreased a lot in human form, he could still accomplish things. Yeah. Do you want to know about it now? Shenling looked down as he saw how excited Tanhua was to hear about the information. Seeing her like this, he didn't have the heart to tell her the whole truth.